Alright my fellow agents, welcome back to the Gaming Brigade, and recently here at the channel some of you have reached out asking me to put together a video just highlighting some of my favorite plug and play builds that I can use for pretty much any content in the game, whether I'm playing solo or in a group. Therefore today my friends, I'm going to take a few moments and highlight a handful of builds that in my opinion you definitely want to have in your loadout, at least a few of them, because they will get the job done regardless of what you may be doing. Now, as always, we're going to jump right into the details, and if you happen to enjoy this, do me a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel out. If you want to stay up to speed on all things Division, feel free to hit that subscribe or join button as well. Now, for the first build I'm showing you, I'm using the Technician Specialization. Doing that for two main reasons. First of all, you get that extra skill tier. Secondly, you get an extra 12% damage to drone skill proxies and robotics. And always remember, regardless of the specialization you choose, have the proper weapons activated in your weapon skill tree. That way you're getting a 15% weapon damage bonus regardless of which one you're using. Now, the primary weapon I'll be using in all of the builds you're about to see is St. Elmo's Engine. This is still one of my go-to weapons in the game. I need to mention it is at expertise level 30. It's one of those few items where I actually took the time and resources to level this thing up. However, to be clear, you could use whatever primary weapon you want. You could use the Capacitor, the Big Alejandro, the Lexington. It's totally up to you. Now you can see with this talent, shooting an enemy will give you 1 stack, and at 100 stacks, the next magazine will be 100% filled with shock ammo. And when we take a look at the mods, you can see you get that 15% crit hit damage, 30 extra rounds, 10% weapon handling, and 15% crit hit chance as well. In my opinion, that's what really makes this one of my favorite weapons in the game, the combination of those mods, as well as the talent itself. As far as the secondary and sidearm is concerned, that is totally up to you, my friends. Moving on to the gear itself, you can see we're running 3 core strength, 1 unit alloys, 1 brazos, and the Ninja Bike backpack. Now we've chosen this for two main reasons. First of all, you get all 3 core attributes. Secondly, it has the talent resourceful, slots in with any equipped gear set and or brand set item to fulfill a requirement towards unlocking a gear set's bonus. And that simply means, even though we only have 3 pieces of the core strength gear set equipped, we do get the 4-piece bonus. The 2 pieces 10% weapon handling, 3 pieces 5% weapon damage, total armor, and skill efficiency. 4 pieces core exercise. For each core on your gear piece, receive 40% of the other 2 cores bonuses, and skill tiers count as 15% skill efficiency. However, because we are wearing a piece of the core strength body armor, we have access to the talent inner core, and that is going to increase that percentage from 40% to 75%, so you definitely want to use this thing. Now, as you can see, I only have 2 armor cores on this build, but I'm sitting at 2 million armor. Next we have the holster. It's a 1 piece of Brazos. I've chosen to roll this one with an armor core. Because of the Ninja Bike, we also get that second brand set bonus, which is an extra skill tier, and that bottom attribute, 10% weapon damage, is also locked in. Now the reason I've chosen to do that is because of this gear set, because it allows me to have 2 million armor. We have 5 weapon cores as well as 3 skill tiers, and those skill tiers are going to have a major impact on your fixer drone and the reviver hive, and I'll talk about that a little bit more in a moment. Next we have the knee pads. It is the 3rd and final piece of the core strength gear set. Continuing on to the gloves, it's the 1 piece of unit alloys, but again, because of the Ninja Bike, we get that second brand set bonus as well, which is 20% assault rifle damage. Now, the reason I've chosen these gloves is because my primary weapon is an assault rifle. If you happen to use an LMG, just switch your gloves to contractor's gloves, because that's going to give you an extra 10% LMG damage, 15% weapon handling, and those have that middle attribute, 8% damage to armor. As far as the skills are concerned, as I mentioned a moment ago, using the reviver hive as well as the fixer drone. Now, as we make our way to the next build breakdown, when it comes to this gear set, you're going to hear mixed opinions, right? And the reason for that, it's valid, because this gear set is like a jack of all trades and a master of none. You know, because a striker build is going to hit harder. A skill build, if you want skill damage, you're going to use something completely different. But if you happen to be looking for something that gives you a balance between that armor, that weapon damage, as well as a few skill tiers, this is a gear set that can definitely get you there. And in my opinion, it will help out a lot of players who happen to be struggling on the higher difficulty. Alright, so with that being said, it takes us to a few more builds I'm going to highlight really quick, and all of these are based around the Striker gear set, and the reason for that is because it's still one of the best, if not the best gear set in the game for so many different builds out there. Starting with the mask, you can see it's the first of 3 pieces of Striker, but once again, because of the Ninja Bike, we're getting that 4-piece bonus. 2 pieces 15% weapon handling, 3 pieces 15% rate of fire, 4 pieces Striker's Gamble, where weapon hits are going to increase total weapon damage by 0.65%, stacking up to 100 times. Next we have the body armor. It's the first of 2 pieces of unit alloys, but again, because of the Ninja Bike, we also get the 3rd brand set bonus. Now I am using the named body armor, the Equalizer. That has the talent Perfect Obliterate, where critical hits are going to increase total weapon damage by 1% for 10 seconds, stacking up to 24 times. takes us to the holster, second piece of unit alloys. You can see this is the named holster, the salvo, and we are using that for that middle attribute, 5% rate of fire. Now you do have a few other options as well. I will show you those in a moment. Continuing on to the knee pads and the gloves, 2 more pieces of the striker gear set. And for this build, I need to point out I have switched the specialization to gunner. That is going to give me some extra armor on kill, a reload speed increase, some extra rate of fire. More importantly, it gives me access to the Banshee Pulse, and I love to use that with the combination of the Crusader Shield. Last but not least, my friends, we have the following build that you're looking at. Now for me as a solo player, this is what I'm going to be using 90% of the time in the game. We have 4-piece striker. We are still using that equalizer body armor, but you can see I've changed the backpack to the memento, and this is easily one of the best ones in the game without a doubt because of that talent kill confirmed. Now remember, when it comes to this talent, you have to be the one that kills the NPC for that trophy to drop. So if you're rolling in a group, I recommend using the one I just showed you. As a solo player, remember, you're doing all the killing, so you're picking up all those trophies and you're getting that weapon damage, bonus armor, and skill efficiency as well. Last but not least today, I want to once again remind you that this is just a template. You want to take your time, make a build your own. For instance, you may look at this build and see I'm sitting at 1.5 million armor and think to yourself, I do not need that much. So you can make some tweaks, add some weapon damage instead of that armor. And finally, for those of you out there who do not have the memento backpack, what I recommend doing is the following. You're going to switch your bag to a piece of striker. Now, when you have this equipped, you have access to the talent risk management, and that is going to increase the weapon damage gain per stack of striker's gamble from 0.65% to 0.90%. And let's say you have no desire to use a salvo holster because you do not care about that rate of fire, switch it to a piece of Gruppo. With that, you're going to get an extra 13% crit hit damage bonus. As always, I hope this video helped you out, and if you happen to have any questions, comments, or feedback, please let me know, and I'll do my best to get back to you as quick as I can. On that note, I'm going to leave you with some gameplay footage and a few final thoughts. As always, I want to take a moment and thank you all for your incredible continued support. Please let me know of any other questions you have I did not address. Thank you once again for the privilege of your time, and as I mention at the end of every one of these, take care of yourselves, be kind to each other, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks again, everyone. Hello once again, my fellow agents. I hope you're doing well on this fine day. Alright, so in the gameplay footage you're looking at right now, I'm using the last build I showed you, which is 4 striker with the striker backpack, using a Gruppo holster and the equalizer body armor, and the St. Elmo's as my primary. Now the reason I've chosen this build is because some of you out there may not have the memento, you may not have the ninja bike, so I wanted to show you something that you should be able to put together pretty damn quick. Play some countdowns, set your targeted loot to striker, get the pieces you need. After that, set it to unit alloys for the body armor, and then to Gruppo for the holster. Now, going back to the first build I showed you based around the core strength gear set, I've heard from a lot of players out there who are now able to tackle higher difficulties where they would not have been able to do it before. So if you happen to be one of those players, let me know your thoughts of the gear set in the comment section down below. And finally, I want to mention the fact that in the gameplay footage you're looking at right now, I do not have any global modifiers active whatsoever, and the reason for that is to ensure that whenever you see this thing, you know exactly what the build can do without any special events going on. That's all I got for this thing, my friends. Thank you once again for everything, and I will see you in the next one.
Agent, I'm getting reports that a Black Tusk kill squad is on site. The hell are they doing?